and salutations, gamers. Welcome to Cast Co-op, the podcast in which three podcast hosts cast together. I am one of your hosts, Luke Lore, the insipid ghost and host of the Xbox Expansion Pass, joined by my big brother and yours, the host of Bitcast. That's the right one? From Seasoned Gaming, Mr. Ainsley Bowden.
What's happening, guys? Good to be here. I always like coming back to Cast, man, and we've got some good topics tonight. And boys, we are so close to Halo. We are so close.
Some would say we're only like, as of recording, 5 days away. Question mark?
Maybe. Question mark?
I don't know where you would hear such a thing. But yeah, I mean, this desk gets higher by the day, and I just, I'm getting there, boys. It's happening.
Luke literally said, hey, let's keep it tame.
No, it's my shoulder, man. I have to.
Oh, okay.
It's for my it's orthopedics. That's what I was referring
to. Orthopedics. Yeah. You want to intro me, buddy?
By the host of the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, Mr. Joseph Moran, fresh off an Extra Life run. How are you, buddy?
Tired still. And big shout out to the Phoenix Overdrive crew. We raised over $20,000. Me and my good friend Sean Capri kind of partnered up this year, but honestly mostly him. And we got off that stream and we immediately started planning next year.
Awesome.
And
cool.
we have some we already have some really big ideas for next year. You know, it's for the kids. All right.
It's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Don't be gross. It's for the kids. So yeah. And also, look at what came in.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it?
Nice.
This Forza controller looks really sweet.
Awesome. Yeah.
I forgot I ordered it, and it came in today, and I was just like, you know what? I'll keep it. And opened it up. Man, I love it. It looks.
Did you? If you use the code that comes with it too, you get a like a custom hot rod in the game.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all about that life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me, man.
Very cool. Very cool. We've got plenty of things on the docket to talk about, to debate. We've got, of course, the Forza Horizon official launch, ? That had just gone live today for Game Pass members and purchasers of the standard edition. We've got, of course, the idea of what a good review is, what makes a good review, what is not a good review. I'm really anxious to kind of attack Ainsley's position about what he thinks makes a good review, because he's been putting in so many hours, which I'm very excited to like pick his brain about, particularly because I got to write one for Seasoned Gaming. And so like to really hear his mentality, I'm looking forward to as well. And he works with Ty Guy Travis, who works for reviews for IGN. So there's
we had a good conversation about it as well. We did.
He trolls me and I don't like it anymore.
He trolls a lot. Yeah. Not trolls like console stuff. He trolls each other like people he knows. Yeah. He's good at it.
I want to give him such a great shout out for the Bitcast you guys did, the Halloween episode. That was a pleasure to watch. But then he did Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And he missed a grand opportunity for Spider-Man. Yeah, when he became Spider-Man. Is this a great bit you guys should watch. But I
what
really
the hell was Dan?
Dan was a stick figure, but his whole family went as basically the icon from the ramen noodle company. And he actually tweeted about it because his son was tagged by the company and won. They won a ramen prize package. I am not making this up. This is 100%.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Look at his Twitter, page, because he doesn't post much anyway, and you'll see that his son was in a picture by the Mansion company that does the ramen bowls. Not joking.
I think I saw that. And I thought that was fake. But
no.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
No.
Man, it was frightening.
Dan's the funniest part of Bitcast because it's like, why is he there? What is he doing? He hates all the good games, loves the bad ones. He made that great game again that you guys played on that Halloween episode, and you can never guess if he likes the game or not. And it's always a 7. And then he'll put a ton of hours into it. He bringing up Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which I'm ashamed to say I found out they had a single player in that, and I'm like, I'll re-download that. I'm never gonna play it, but I re-downloaded it. The
funny thing is, he plays games probably more than any of us. And I mean, some of us play a lot, right? I mean, he plays games like several hours per day, every day.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we could talk more about that. But it is funny part of the big cast, and that's I think where Travis has made such a good fit is because he's very counter to Dan, and now we have this wide kind of range of opinions and thoughts on things. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see the tweet. He is horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's there.
Yeah. He's like,
Well,
this is
guys-
as much effort as my family wanted to put in for Halloween. I'm like, all right.
Guys, I got some news. I played Forza Horizon 5 for the Xbox. I beat the intro level where you know
Yeah.
you jump into the jungle. This is easily a 9.7. That's all I've played. I just got the Supra, and I think that's just enough for me to just say, you know what?
You got your review.
9.7. I don't have anything that bugs me so
Yeah.
far.
Hey, you've
Well,
played
there you
enough.
go.
You've played enough.
Yeah.
Funny side note. I think I showed you guys this, but I was cruising around in my car the other night, just going for a drive, and I pulled into a gas station, and there was a new Supra there, in blue, and the guy was walking, and he looked at me and smiled, and we both gave each other a thumbs up, and his license plate was Blupra because it was a blue Supra. I sent it to Dan. He goes, "The hell's Blupra?" I'm like,
I didn't get it either. When you sent it to, I was like, I don't get it either.
I get
Supra.
it immediately.
It's blue. This is not complicated, guys.
I just don't think it was funny. I was like,
I don't think
now,
it was
why did
necessarily
you two look
funny,
at
but
each
it's
other?
funny seeing it on a license plate.
Yeah,
Why did you two have like a love connection moment? Do you also drive a Supra?
Oh, I have an competition M4.
because they're both
Car guys, man.
enthusiasts.
Car guys.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's an
I thought
unspoken
maybe-
connection among car guys.
Yeah. And it's also that thing with truck stops.
He means just getting gas. Calm down. Jeez.
Yeah, Luke.
Filling up your
Disappointed, by the way.
tank.
Disappointed.
Oh, there was a
Halo
tank.
Cup.
It did get filled.
It's just such a bad time to point out what's
You mean
on
the
this cup.
Scorpion. He meant
I love
four
tank.
people. Four people
Yeah.
on your Scorpion is what he meant.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's more than two people.
All right. Well, let's talk about Forza first, and then I want to have the meat of our discussion is a debate on reviews, for sure this week. But let's talk about Forza Horizon 4. It has launched officially. It
Or
launched
5.
early.
Do you want to talk about
Forza
4
Horizon-
or 5?
Forza Horizon 5.
You
Is there a
said
joke
4.
here? I
I
don't
was
know.
just joking with you.
I meant Forza. I'm sorry, Forza Horizon 5. This, of course, has officially launched now publicly to anybody that bought the standard edition. It's been out for early access or premium edition purchasers, which had a really cool upgrade system. It hit over 1 million players in that like buy it premium stage, which is is pretty telling. Ains, I know you and I both got our hands on early copies for separate reviews that we did for our outlets, which was dope. We had a lot of comparative thoughts, and you went very in depth with yours. But Forza Horizon 5, 92 on Metacritic last I checked. One of the highest rated games, if not the highest rated game this year.
The highest.
For consoles.
Mhm.
The highest overall.
That
Okay.
released this year, like not counting Hades re-release, stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I know Skyrim's got another release that's coming out this year. So
The 19th release.
it really is. The joke's not even funny anymore. It's just
No.
So Forza Horizon 5 launches, best reviewed game of this year, immediately brings up the question, can it win game of the year? It's a racing game. Does that disqualify it for some people? I'm ashamed to say that somehow in my mind, it does have a knock against it for being a racing game for game of the year. And I'm not sure what that is internally that tells me to do that. Because I think of games like The Last of Us, God of War, in some cases, well, like those narrative driven games to be game of the year. And yet this year, perhaps not. Forza Horizon is amazing. I do agree with all the 10s. If I did have to give numerical reviews to things, this game's fantastic. Fantastic. Where does it stand in your mind? I know you wrote the review. Ains, can I go to you first on that one then?
Yeah. I talked quite a lot about this on Bigcast too. Is first and foremost, I think it should absolutely be considered in Game of the Year contenders. The whole racing game or certain genres not being included in Game of the Year conversations is really strange to me because, especially in this instance, but just in general, because if we say that a game has to have a narrative or a story, right?
Mhm.
Or characters, I guess you could say, right? To get a Game of the Year nomination, you eliminate like a massive swath of games across the gaming industry. And what I really like, there's even examples that go counter to that argument. For instance, I brought this up as well, is that officially at the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley's show, Overwatch won Game of the Year in 2016. It has no narrative. It doesn't even have a
Yeah.
campaign. I
Right.
mean, it's just a multiplayer game. Sure, it's got characters, but there's no, anything that lore wise you have to get outside of the game. And there's been other examples as well. But the other thing that really kind of bugs me with that mindset is, one, racing games are not created equal. Okay, there's a huge difference, just like
Agreed.
other genres, where I can give many examples of Forza Horizon 5 being just leagues beyond. Like, I think Dan brought up, well, Dirt 5 was 4K 62, and I'm like, you can't compare the two. You're talking about an open world, massively deeper content in Forza Horizon 5 versus a closed track racer. That's like, the way you build those games is drastically different.
Yeah.
And then
I would
lastly,
add,
like,
can I
go
interrupt
ahead.
only to say the closed track racer, really love, not joking, Hot Wheels Unleashed. That game is really good this year. Great racing game. Not
Mhm.
even comparable though to the points that you
No,
are making.
yeah, not from
even
a
comparable.
developmental standpoint. But then also, like, the insult, I think, in saying a game's just a racer is, if you, and not that I'm some expert on development, but you've heard it from development studios before. Days Gone's a perfect example where the work they had to do to get his bike to function properly was like astronomical. They've talked about it in Unreal Engine. And, to get cars to function properly in a game is a task. To get cars to act realistic to their real life counterpart is another task entirely. And then to do that for several hundred vehicles is another task on top of that. It's far more complicated to get, at least from what I hear, I'm not a developer, far more complicated to get that type of system built into a game, different cars, making them feel right, different configurations and all this, compared to like animating a 2D character. Do you know what I mean? So if we look at something like Hollow Knight, which is really well regarded and rightfully so, as potentially for Game of the Year, how could you disregard something like a Forza Horizon 5 by saying it's just a racing game? Makes no sense. I mean, there's no logic behind it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Joe?
I think no, I think you're right there. The one thing that isn't even a pushback, it's just an observation. It says, not to say that Forza Horizon comes out every year. It's obviously skipped a few, but just the Forza brand itself is always so prominent every year. And I think that's the thing that does the game a disservice, because it's just like, oh yeah, it's great, but it's more Forza, and that's what I feel like. As much as like I think this is a great game, and yeah, it probably should be. I mean, as I've reviewed it 15 minutes in, best game ever made, game of the year contender, exclamation point, question mark. I think so, and here's why. No, but like it probably is. All the praise I'm seeing, how people's photos are freaking bonkers. It seems like there's a lot of love behind this game, which is great because Forza's always been great. And the one thing that kind of annoys me a little bit seeing this is like, yes, this game's great. Where was this love every time Forza came out? It's always really good.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's finally got its due. So should it be up for Game of the Year? Absolutely. Will it win Game of the Year? Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. Yeah, and I think just to add one further point too, and you're right, Forza is, there's a lot of Forza games, and Forza Horizon has been great pretty much forever. All five of them have been amazing, but this definitely takes, like, if you're someone who plays these games a lot and really puts a lot of hours in and really pays attention, there are, and I kind of talked about this in my review, which is why I wanted to really go into it, because I know that Forza Horizon 4 got a ton of praise already. But I really wanted to see, when you get to the nuts and the bolts of it, how much has changed from Forza Horizon 4 to 5. Because I think that's a big debate too. It's like, oh, it's another Forza Horizon game. It's just set in a different location, right? And it's like, well, one, just saying set in a different location is hilarious because they have to build an entire goddamn game world around that. It's not like they're just pasting it somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's literally an entire rebuilding of a new game world. That's like saying the new Halo is just set on a different planet. Like, you know, the other thing is that you can see fundamental kind of engine changes to a lot of things here. The lighting's completely different. And I was fortunate enough to play with a couple people from Playground in Turn 10 and ask them a couple questions about this. And they were like, the guy who did the lighting at Turn 10 who helped on this said, yeah, there's multiple new engines at play here that were created for this game. And when you play it enough, you can see it. It's just it's leagues beyond Forza Horizon 4. The sound is way better. I mean, there's all kinds of new play modes. There's the event lab that, you know, the creations are already starting to become wild. And it's so far beyond Forza Horizon 4. So I think just saying it's the next Forza Horizon game, I think is another thing that really does a big disservice.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, which I've seen those beautiful console warriors fight online about. This game's a mess. This game's buggy. This game is. I saw a bug. The animals aren't smart. The next game that needs to have smarter animals. I saw some pop in. And don't get me started about the fruit physics, guys. It's just not even there. You know, what are we doing?
I do think it's interesting to see this game getting 10s and masterpieces all around, a lot of graphical comparisons, and then you remember that this game can be played on an Xbox One, an Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Series S, Series X, Cloud, PC. It is wild to me where all of the spaces that this game lives truly is. I just checked a few minutes ago. It's over 3 million players now.
4 million.
It's over 4 already. Man, jeez. And bravo to that team. But to think about the accomplishments that they had, it's pretty wild to me. And I was fortunate enough to have Randall Thor 19 on XEP a few weeks ago, and that was a really enjoyable conversation. I had a really good time on and off air discussing content creation with him and how you interact with communities. Just really insightful conversation. But when we talked about Horizon, because we were both kind of, you know, reviewing it, there's something special about Horizon 5 that 3 and 4 don't have, and it's almost intangible. I think it's the refinement that they got from the previous 2 games, and I feel like there's more to come in it in terms of like that fun factor that goes well beyond what's already in there. The Eliminator mode is a blast, but there's something that's almost intangible, and it just feels better than any of the other ones thus far, and that's saying something because these have all been elite level racing games, and that extra year really seems to have pushed them over the edge to help this, along with xCloud and Game Pass, hit mass market, beyond just the racing game people.
Horizon's always been super accessible, I think, for folks like me who aren't into racers as much. And even driving it for the 15 minutes that I've done, again, review is live, 9.7, easily 9.8, best game I've ever played in my life. The joke is that
people have done this.
We
can
emoji.
see it on our progress.
Don't get me started.
I'm already level 20. I feel like I've played it all, seen it all. Review on the way. It's gonna be saucy, guys.
Greatest game ever made.
Anyway, shilling aside, but even playing it, I've always loved the Horizon games, even though I'm super novice at them, right? And usually wane off within the first few hours. I really do appreciate those games, better word probably, than the simulation racer that is, Forza. So for me, jumping into this game, and again, playing it for the very short time I did, there was kind of this is kind of relaxing. This and dirt 5, I think, have opened up racers to me in a different way, just like the car that's swimming outside. Where
I
it's
can
just like,
hear
this
it.
is a
I was hearing it.
Mr. Forza drove by just to sponsor this video. They love my review that much. But like seriously, it's just like, yeah, this is a world that I love to explore. Like going into what Ains you were talking about, they have to build this whole big world. I think what makes Horizon so special is with every area, it's the cars are there and they're there for people, you could tune the cars, it's part of car culture. You could collect the cars, part of car culture. But the thing that makes Horizon so special is that the world itself, cliche as it sounds, is a character in that world that you could see the team really loving and immersing themselves in literally that part of the world, that culture, colors and all that.
Yeah,
So,
lots of colors.
so many.
Yeah, and I think that ties into what Luke said about there's something in this game being intangible, because I loved all the Horizon games and I've put a lot of time into them, but there's something about this one that just keeps drawing me back just repeatedly. I think I'm about to hit rank 160. And I just, I'm not even close to slowing down on it yet. Which is just wild, because it's just, as you said, it's just a really fun place to be in. There's something about it that has me coming back to it more than the previous ones. So it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really struggled with my review score, because I had it as a 9.5 and I was talking to some others about it pre-release. And our 10 scale at Season Gaming is historic. To give a game a 10 means it's historic. It either advances the industry or it's something that advances a genre. And so I kind of went back and forth. And at the end of the day, I didn't know what anyone else was reviewing. And I just basically said, you know what? If this game is not historic from a genre perspective, then I don't know what is, honestly. And that's why I landed on where I did. And I was happy to see, I think it's gotten like 10 or 11 10s from major outlets so far. So
it really feels like gamers outside the racing genre and outside the Xbox community have taken note of Forza Horizon, which is good to see. Overdue, but good to see.
Yeah, it's first, I would like to say that Ains's review is 1-to-1 with mine. I think we put very close amount of time. I'll run this joke into the ground. But the other thing I'd like to note is I think this is also, hopefully, knock on wood, the turning of the page, or like, the page that is the Xbox exclusive. It's good.
Yeah.
Not great.
I think that's part of it. But I really think that's part of it. I think that's part of why people are waking up to it, is that the vibe around Xbox is now positive. Yep. Whereas, to call a spade, outside of the podcast groups that would note and be, think about games beyond just the surface level, PlayStation ruled last gen, ruled it. And then you had Nintendo in a extremely, I would argue, I mean, they're just absurd, but I would not say they're in the same categories of what we're talking about. And Xbox really started recovering ground, but very much a last place finish last gen. And so I think it was cool to see, or I think it's cool to see the vibe change. And because of that, now some of the developers are taking note or getting the attention they deserve.
Yes.
Playground is elite. Yeah.
And it's awesome. And that's what like I said earlier, like, it frustrates me because even some Xbox folks were just like, yeah, it's Forza's great, but it's more Forza. But like this time around, there is some actual legitimate excitement. Yes, there's the feign excitement for sure, but like there's actual excitement from even like some PlayStation people that I follow as well, looking at this game. So awesome. I'm into it, but and I'm sorry, Luke, if I'm segueing and you should segue it. I do want to know what you guys, because I'm not the reviewer here, you guys are, of the state of reviews, because as we know, IGN bought off, GameSpot, everybody's on the payroll. Don't get me started on all the talented people. Oh, sorry, all the sellouts over at Game Informer. They're all taking their money, right? They're all living in mansions.
I was going to say, if they're paid off, man, they got a bad deal. Like living in LA, apartments ain't cheap.
So obviously, we can't trust any of these sites. What is the current state of the review process? It seems a little boinked because honestly, if I'm real with y'all, I don't trust most content creators. I'm actually trusting the Seasoned Gamings, the IGNs, the Game Informers because A, we know people there, but like B, there's a legitimate system in place that challenges that reviewer to that score. And as for a content creator, you want to, keep that relationship going. You have no incentive to rate a game below this is the best thing I've ever played in my life. So
yeah,
talking
or
about
you get
me,
the
by the
opposite
way.
where they'll trash something just for attention, right?
yeah, like the fruit physics and dumb shit like that.
So Are you
trying to tell me that a cent's not a 10? Are you trying to tell me that?
Let me jump in on this
Okay.
one, Joe, because drink the tea there. Because I am not held to a system and challenge the way Ains is, right? Ains runs a site that is aggregated over on OpenCritic, and they have a system, and very much respect.
I'm not going to talk about Biomutant tonight. Don't do it. Don't do it.
We're giving you praise. You really hold back.
Whereas I have only two accountabilities, to myself and to my audience, but many people, content creators, fear the idea of not getting the next code, not getting the relationship with the publisher. And to me, that is a very immature and juvenile thought. And I see grown men do this and young content creators. And what I mean by that is people that have not been in content creation for a while, where they are fearful of that. And that to me is disingenuous to their audiences. But that's on them and the people that give them the codes, and that's for them to figure out. Where I get frustrated is with there's a little bit of balance that the audience has to play in that. If somebody's worried they're not going to get the next code, is their audience aware that they're overselling by comparison to other places? When GamerRanks, Gaming Bolt, GameSpot, IGN, Seasoned Gaming, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 content creators say this thing about a game and you're the outlier, does that really help your cause? Does that really help your case? And
yes and no.
Yes and no, I think is the right answer. But I can tell you comfortably, never once have I felt pressure to make a review a certain way. If anything, pressure worked against me when I did the Seasoned Gaming review for Guardians. I was so worried as the guy who has 25 days in Avengers that liked the game, right? Like that's like my okay. But I was so worried I was going to come in high on that I think in looking word for word to the other reviews that went out there at the same time, as soon as embargo lifted, everything I liked, they liked. Everything I critiqued, they critiqued. But the weights were different.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much that kicks into people. Ains, where do you jump in on that one?
25 days.
Yeah, man. I love being a superhero. And again, let's not pretend like I don't play God of War and Arkham and some of the other.
No. Yeah, like we're not talking about those, Luke.
No, those are fine. That's not the ones we're concerned about.
You like what you like, boys. You gotta love what you love.
Yeah, so obviously I have a ton of thoughts here. So a lot to unpack here, boys. Now,
jeez, here he goes. Let's talk about the sniper rifle scope in Halo 3 compared to ODST 5 or some mess.
ODST 5, that's not a game.
Well, it's not really a game, actually.
Sorry.
There's a lot of unpack there. Gosh.
25 days.
25 days.
You spent 80 hours in Outriders to complain about it.
30. Where'd you get 80 from?
Oh, 30. that's because you spent 80 hours back to back from between Riders and Forza to get out 2 reviews in 2 weeks, which I also I'm ready to argue with you about why that is disingenuous. Also, I mean, in a good way. Like I'm excited to have the discussion.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Part of the problem that you alluded to there with your Guardians review are just scoring models in general, and I think scoring models, a lot of people. Well, I won't say a lot of people. Like we depend on scoring models because it's the easy reference for people to quickly look at lazily and determine if a game is good or bad.
Not lazily. Could be busy. Also, this is one of the things I want to compete with you about. Some people are pressed for time. Some people just want the quick thing. Is it fun? Is it not? They want the bullet points.
If you can't read a 3-minute review on a game, that no one is that pressed for time. Nobody.
But the bullet points a lot of people go to for a
'Cause they're
lot of
lazy.
reasons. I don't think that's lazy. I think that's busy. And hey, I like this franchise. I want to play more of this franchise. Is it more of this franchise?
Well, that's different. Then you already have a preconceived notion of what you're getting.
Ains, not everybody has a team of interns.
I was gonna say that, right? Who has that time?
No, I
Not me. I gotta get to day 26.
Yeah,
Wait, Joe, isn't this the guy that preaches to us about reading books?
I love
Right?
books.
Don't have time to read
But
a
I-
review.
Oh, I gotta
Anyway.
read Children of the Corn or whatever.
What?
Anyway, so I think part of the problem is scores. Jesus. Children
Where
of
did you
Corn.
get that?
I don't read books. That's what we're saying. Isn't that a Stephen King book?
He
Is
looked
that-
at he looked at your face, and the first thing he thought of was Children of the Corn.
God,
said, "Look,
I have-
that kid's all grown up."
I have a stack of books to read right now, and
Uh-huh.
now that coaching's over, I'm gonna get to them. What? 2 of them are Halo books. I'm excited.
Oh, that's
Got a
good.
Halo
Don't
Pride
take 3
shirt.
minutes to read a review, though. Just read the score.
But
But anyway.
14-page review to say it's good.
But part of the problem is that, right? Like, and I kind of stress to our editors, like I did with you, right? When we talked about your score before publishing, is
Mhm.
one, let's really use the 1 to 10 scale. If you look at just scores right now, they're just so heavily loaded up high. It's like a bad game is a 7 and a good game is a 9, and you're using like 3 points, right?
Mhm.
So that's really tough to get people to do. Not really our crew, but I mean just in general, because
Sure.
the Open Critic, Metacritic stuff has kind of weighed heavily upwards over the years. So if someone sees a 5, which in reality should be an average game, right, that releases, you see a 5 now, you're like, oh my God, that game's horrible. You know,
Mhm.
it's not unplayable.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy. So that's part of the problem there. I mean, I don't want to go on for 10 minutes here, so we can kind of go one thing by one thing, but
Well, the counter argument to that is only that most sites are not going to take the time to review bad games because who's looking for them?
and we're guilty of that because we don't have the staff or the time. We're not paid, right? So we're not reviewing every game that comes out.
Right.
But I will tell you, when we have gotten codes for smaller games or kind of less than stellar games, like Steve did a review for, we joke about it in our group all the time, called Dust Off Z. And it was a port of a mobile game, which was like horrendous.
Mhm.
And he came to me in the review. He goes, this is a 3 at best. And I was like, what do you mean at best? He's like, well, I'd probably rate it a 2. Then I'm like, okay, give it a 2 if that's how you feel. And we did. And it's our lowest rated game of all time. It's a 2. And so I had to reach back out to the publisher and say, here's the link to the review. We're an honest publication. That's what I said to him. I was like, I'm sorry, but this is, you know, it is what it is. That's how we do things. And the guy said, I understand and thank you for reviewing the game. And fair enough.
I mean, yeah, and that's like, I think a lot of people lose that sight on, is like half of it is they just want you to talk about it.
yeah, publicizing something about that game is the benefit for them, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah. And yeah, you'll have sometimes where they quote unquote care, but like most of the time it's just like, yeah, they just want you to talk about it. They just want you to, you know, have a clickable link that you can share with them. That's really half of what it is. And I see a lot of folks out there try way too hard to appease whatever company in hopes of saying, oh my God, please, I you know, please daddy Microsoft notice me, or, you know, senpai. And it's just really annoying because most of those people see through that facade really, really quickly. You know, for me, I struggle with, as a person who just talks about what they've been playing more so than like give a review on, is I really do have trouble of saying what I don't like, because I know that there's people that played it, or sorry, worked on it and put their hard, you know, work into, and I don't want to trash that. It just makes me feel bad. But that's why it's up to sites like yours and, you know, Luke as well. Not to say that I only talk about the positive, but to me, like, that's why I don't have a rating scale.
Yeah.
Because I'll just, there are some games that I straight up don't recommend that I've
Sure.
played, but I'll always let you guys know if I beat the game, if or how many hours I have in the game, to let y'all know where I'm at in that game, so that you guys have a good idea of my experience. And always, I think my personal thing that I do is I always talk about my feelings walking in, so that you even know my expectations that I had for this game.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, when I see, people, I'm level 15 in Forza, they're level 15 in Forza, you see it,
Yep.
and they have a review on Forza already. That's super disingenuous.
Yep.
That is super shady. And it's just to appease a base.
Yep.
And that's why, like, part of it is like, will people start to notice if, let's just say I get PlayStation games and I'm only giving PlayStation games 9s and 10s, right? Yes, but most of the audience that doesn't care for it, they're not really going to check out my channel anyway. And for the people that do, I'm just radicalizing them for the most part.
Right.
And growing that base of like, this is the only place to play type of thing. It's really weird.
Yeah. You touched on
Sorry.
I'll go if you don't. I want to touch on one thing, because you mentioned something, Joe, that tapped into two different thoughts for me. One, unless I'm doing contributions to season gaming or whatnot, XCP's got no rating scale, right? So I'm not beholden to a scale, which is very helpful, because I don't like putting numbers on it any longer. Not that I don't enjoy the process of putting numbers on a game, and that to me is very liberating. I know some sites have even moved away from it, but it certainly has to hurt traffic when you don't have numbers.
Oh, absolutely.
And you have to consider that as a
we
consumer.
used to not have numbers when we first started reviews for that reason.
Really?
But what we found is it's just, especially as a small site, if you don't have numbers, you'll never be part of OpenCritic or Metacritic on really kind of the high end. I think like ACG is one of the very few people who doesn't have numbers, who's actually on those sites, but he's like, he's a huge presence in the community now.
Good reviews too.
Yeah. Oh, ACG is a great guy.
He's one of my favorites.
But so we found just in general,
what is Luke doing?
I don't know.
I was trying to
but
reach
we weren't getting any hits, without it. So we had to go to it. And I think that's why, like when you and I talked about it, Luke, anything that gets over a 7 or higher on our site has a very definitive written criteria to get that score. And it's at the top of every one of our reviews, so people can read it. And it does get read. We do get hits on that. So people are checking that out. And I've been fortunate one more point is I've reviewed a lot more games this year, and a lot more big games. And I've been fortunate enough to kind of gain an audience to where I'm reviewing games at pre-release now, which, was few and far between over, prior.
Sure. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah,
to a number of those, known and not known.
Yeah, and I think, but what's been nice to see from a good portion of the community, and I may be fortunate just that SG community is pretty small, but it's also very cultivated, right? It's a very positive community, and I've gotten a lot of recognition personally for the amount of time and kind of what I dedicate to doing a review. And I think, to your point, Luke, some people at least definitely see through those creators or those sites or whatever that are just throwing reviews out there without really putting in the time or putting in, the effort to look at a game properly.
It also frustrates me with we're going into weird tics that Joseph doesn't like. When I see on Twitter, like a Twitter review, it's like,
I used to do those. Just as before you diss them, I did those.
Okay, well, I'm still going in.
No, but I can probably comment on the mindset. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, I understand where they come from, but sometimes it's just like, I give this game a 9.7 out of 5. Like it's like it's just, there's no way you could get all that thought into that thing. Like I think Twitter is a great space for hey, I just watched Shang-Chi. I thought it was fantastic. This
Yeah.
movie rocked. I just rapped on, every game that I rap on, I try to thank the developer. So I rapped Guardians. I talked about how much I love that game and all that. So like, thanking the developers, that's great. But I hate when the people are like, yeah, so 11 out of 7. I just I didn't like it, and I'm like, okay.
That's not what I did.
So I think we can get into a bigger conversation at this point, Joe. I think it's a good segue because I've had this conversation with someone like Travis too, who reviews for IGN, and obviously IGN is the biggest media game company in the world.
Right.
You looked
How's
at
the
Ryan,
stock options because he's bought out. Yeah,
like you looked at Halo, Ryan McCaffrey's Halo article today, and literally Travis's Riders Republic review was on the sidebar, like linked, and I was like, hey, I know the guy that did that. Which is kind of wild to me that him and I were playing the game together, talking review notes, and his review is on, being seen by millions and millions of people, which is funny. Yeah. Mine was not, by the way. But I think that where I struggle is Travis and others, many others say, no matter what, a review is an opinion. And categorically, he's right? Yeah. Like it's an opinion. But I still maintain that to do a proper review, and I think the word review gets thrown around way too casually, but to do a proper review, you have to come at it from a critical perspective, and there's some criteria that you should be looking at with the game you're playing versus its peers. And if you're not doing that, if it's 100% opinion without really kind of examining the game, then that's where I draw the line of that's not what I would consider a good review.
Yeah. To me, I think I use it. I mean, I know I use it way too liberally. I think that's the only thing that I do that is probably the most, I'll say it, clickbaity, because we all know if we're not putting review at the end of a game that just came out, that thing is not going to get clicked. So it is something that I think, even to me, where I'm like, yeah, we had a good 10-minute conversation on, I'll just say Guardians. But like that's, if you want a more in-depth review, you're going to Ains, right? You're going to an IGN or something like that. To me, it's about the conversation. I also maybe don't give myself enough credit because we do cover a lot when we do it, but I'm not and we do have like an outline, but it's more, I guess, improv.
Okay. Well, this touches on a couple aspects here. One, the genesis of this entire cast co-op conversation is the commentary of review versus review, impressions versus impressions. Remember, we had that semantic argument, Ains, I was just kind of talking about that one, and something about the difference for someone like me, there is a difference between impressions review and review impressions, and I can't articulate truly what the difference is, but I think it has to do, I'm going to attempt to articulate it. It's that how fine-tooth the comb did you go through it with, and how meticulous were you in your process? Joe, I don't want to ever read a review from someone like you because you approach it in such an open-minded, casual way is how I'm going to say this. Sure. That may not be what I mean, but like you're talking with a buddy to talk about a game. There's nothing formal and scripted, and you're not trying to check boxes to say you covered this, this, and this. And that is how I play many of my games.
He's being mean to me.
but that is how I often want to learn about a lot of games. And that's how I often want to experience lots of games. And I noticed as Ains was going through his review process for Forza that I was like, man, I do not want to enjoy Forza this way. Now, Ains, to give the listeners background, you put 80 hours into Riders Republic and Forza Horizon combined at the time that this kind of came up. So over the course of
less than 2 weeks. 10 days.
You put so much time into these games. Well, I'm never going to consume Forza in that way.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, his review is, I read it word for word. I couldn't argue any single point in there. And it was really meticulous, really purposeful, well done. And like, I couldn't complain about a thing about it, but I would never have played Forza the way that you played it in order to experience that kind of a game. And so I wonder what kind of pressures we as gamers are putting on ourselves to kind of live up to certain review processes
Yeah.
or just compare ourselves to what's going on there. Like, is this making sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Because one of the things I really struggle with, and I talk to others about this, is when I get a review code, and we joke about codes all the time, but like I'm talking about when like a big game, say like Forza or Riders Republic, I consider those big games because they're major publishers, right?
Mhm.
You get a code and a review's expected. Like I send my review links, the open critic links, everything back to the publishers, right? And they respond and appreciate it and everything because you're cultivating that relationship. But when I get a code for a game like that, to me, and this is more personality driven, depending on the type of person you are, but I look at it as a responsibility. Like, okay, you've given me this game for free. You expect what I consider a proper review of this game. So now it's my job to put in the work. And so the sad thing is you're right. I do go through a different process when I'm reviewing a game versus if I just buy it and play it, right?
Mhm.
I'm looking at every nook and cranny. I'm looking for bugs. I'm looking for design aesthetics, improvements versus prior entries, all these things we've talked about. And to some degree, it can ruin my enjoyment of a game
Mhm.
because I am doing it a different way than I would. And I told you guys this, I'm nervous about Halo because there is no other game on the planet that I look forward to playing my way than Halo. And if I have to review it, which I am, that's going to change. And that kind of annoys me a little bit. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to change my process of the review because that's, again, I feel a responsibility. That's how our game reviews should be done.
Yeah.
So I think of what you just described as a review, and I'm going to the semantics. Somewhere in between review impressions and impressions, to me, is like I plan to give review impressions. I'm going to play Halo the way that I would play it, talk about that experience, explain to different players what it is that I'm seeing, what it is I want to play, and then give my experience and my thoughts on that experience. Whereas Joe is going to be talking to a buddy. He's going to be talking to Kyle on Trophy Room about what he loved and what he didn't like and what he thought was good. And all of us are going to come down to do we recommend it to our audience or do we not? But the process that we go through, I think, really is different per outlet, per person. And that's why it's important for every consumer to know who's reviewing your games. And it's difficult with an IGN because like you can learn what Tom Marks likes. Do you know what Ty Guy Travis likes? Like I used to know what Greg Miller liked. Yeah. And I knew if Greg said this about a game, I wasn't going to like it. If he said this, I was going to like it.
Yeah.
But it's now there's so many creators, so many places. The numbers are important yet again. And Ains, I need those bullet point summaries at the bottom because I'm not going to read an 8-page IGN review next to an 8-page GameSpot, next to an 8-page Gaming Bolt, Season Gaming, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it comes down to who do I trust? Will I read an 8-page Ainsley Bowden one? Sure. Will I read one that from a guy at GameSpot that I don't know? Probably not.
Yeah. And I think I know the big outlets do a better job of this than others. And IGN's been put through the ringer through the years, of course. And of course, being at the top, they always have a target on them. But I know their process, not just from talking to Travis, but like Dan Stapleton, who manages the reviews over there. And like Forza Horizon 5 is a good example because Luke O'Reilly did their review for that. Luke O'Reilly, he's an Australian who is a diehard car guy. He reviews all their car games. He's very in-depth on them. So when I saw IGN's Forza Horizon review, I was like, okay, who did it? Luke O'Reilly? Perfect. He knows what he's talking about. So I think IGN, for a major site especially, does a really good job. But there are other sites I see, and obviously none as big as IGN, but there are other sites I see, to your point, where it feels like they could hand off a game to someone who really shouldn't be reviewing that game. I think it was Destructoid, and I'll call them out because I saw it on
shit.
I saw it on Open Critic. Their review summary of Forza Horizon 5, he gave it an 8. And the guy literally in that paragraph said, I'm not very familiar with the Horizon series, and then made a comparison to Super Mario Kart. And I'm like, the hell are we doing? Like, why are you reviewing this game? You obviously don't know anything about it.
And on the one hand, I appreciate him saying that, so it allows us to discredit our interest in the review. On the other hand, what are you doing? Why is he the one doing it? You know,
exactly.
So there's a small credit I want to give there, before we just destroy him, because we should destroy him. Like, he shouldn't be doing.
That would
a
be
review
like
of
me
Forza.
reviewing, I don't know, a dating sim or something. They're just not my games. You know what
And
I mean?
I'm never
Like,
going to review Motorsport. Motorsport's not the game that I should ever touch to review or tell
Well,
you to
and
buy.
like I shouldn't be reviewing a racing game, but like I'll talk about my experiences for sure. But don't take me as the definitive car guy. You
Right.
know, like so yeah, it is. I don't know if we should attack that person, but I think we should analyze who gave that person that responsibility. I think
Yes,
is another
that's a
thing
much
that we
better
need
way
to
to
think
say that.
about.
That is a much better way to say that. You're right.
yeah, that's what I'm
It's
saying.
not like-
The site coordinating who's reviewing things. IGN does generally a good job of it. Other big sites, not so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a good clarification. And if I could retroactively go back to that moment, I would. That's a very good point.
Good.
Sorry, Joe.
No, that's it.
Oh,
Just-
okay. I want to go back to what Luke was talking about. Because, yeah, when you came to me, Luke, last week, and we kind of went back on semantics, and you said, what about review impressions? And my response to you was, the only problem with that phrase, right, is it sounds like you're giving impressions, but you're trying to make it sound more formal.
Okay.
Yeah. And not everything has to be a review, to your guys' point. Like, I think, to Joe's point, review from an SEO perspective has a lot more weight than impressions. It just does. Because people are looking for scores, right? But impressions, I think, captures more of the essence of what a lot of people do for what they call reviews, right? Not talking about you guys per se, just in general. Some of the reviews we see out there are just impressions or their opinions. They're not reviews.
Yeah.
And I really struggle in that. I really struggle. And it's a me thing. It's not anything I'm going to fix. It's a me thing because I just told you the amount of effort I put into a full scale review is a lot, and I lose sleep, and I put a lot, and that's all me. That's just me being me. But it does get to me when I see, I've said it a million times, see some people, as we saw with Forza, there's leaderboards. I can literally see people I know, how much they've played this game. I'll call out on a positive note, Rand Althor, because he was way up there on the leaderboard with me. He was playing it a ton. I know he's obviously a huge Xbox creator, a friend of ours. And when he published his review, you could see he was way up there. I was like, yeah, Rand's done the work because Rand does that, right? It's a proper review. Yep. Whereas a few other videos I've seen of content creators we all know, they didn't do that. They didn't put in the work, and it just drives me crazy because they're trying to capitalize on the hype around Forza Horizon 5 to, like you guys said earlier, Xbox, look at me. When
and build
in
their
reality,
name around Xbox.
Exactly. When in reality, they're putting out videos, racing perfection. It's like, oh, you like the tutorial too? Cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I told you I liked it. I gave it a 9.7 definitive review.
It's just so frustrating, and I just
really
wish more
is.
people would dig into that a bit more.
Yeah.
I talked with, so I want to give Rand a shout out because he said he watched the cast co-op when we talked about creators.
Yeah, cool.
And he had trepidation about who we were talking about, who we were looking at, who are these
Not
insiders. No.
Well, it's that Jez Corden guy.
No, definitely not Jez.
How could he have insider information as a journalist in the field?
Let's not put that air out there. Definitely not Jez.
No. But it really comes down to sometimes it's the people that don't put in the time but want the clout, want the credit.
Yes.
And that is, to me, a very frustrating thing to see people doing that in the wake of others who are busting their butts. They're busting their butts out there. And Ains, you're in a fortunate position where you can give, 40 hours to a game, lose sleep, and then do it back to back to get another one. You're in a fortunate position. What about the ones that are just trying to grind and get that indie game, that spotlight, or do the thing? I think about that. I'm selfishly thinking of myself with XEP. Like I was very fortunate to land Forza. That was huge for me.
Yeah.
But a lot of what I do is have indie developers on. I'm just grinding and enjoying the process of it.
Well, and the other problem is,
sorry, Joe.
Part of the problem with that, Luke, it's not you or me or anyone else, is part of the bigger problem here is just how reviews are handled by publishers and devs to begin with. The fact of the matter is Yeah, I mean the whole if this was done properly or better, I should say, right? Game reviews would be sent out a month ahead of time. People would have plenty of time, to work through and put the time in regardless of their schedule. But that's just not the reality we live in. I got the Riders Republic code 2 days before launch. Part of that is due to the server connectivity because it's a live game. But still, that's a reason that I did impressions. Funny enough, going back to impressions, I did a review in progress with no score for the first few days until I put more time in and finalized my review. Travis did the same thing over at IGN. But it's just, there's too many people. If you're an underpaid, say, contractor working at a site and you get a code for a game and they say, we need this review in 2 days, right? But you also have a family and you have something else you have to do over those next 2 days, what are you going to do? You're going to put in the time you can put in. It may only be several hours, and you're going to write up what you can. And that's the sad reality that we get out of a lot of reviews. And I'll go on my Biomutant preach about this because even a major site like Kotaku admitted they put 14 hours into it and reviewed it. And it's like, you haven't even gotten a quarter of the way through the game. How are you publishing a review? That's a major
They're
site.
under new management.
Yeah, and
damn, was I being sexist again?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
How dare you critique them? They're
But,
people of color.
just,
respect them.
Yeah, it's just
Even if their opinions are shit. How dare you, Ains? How dare you get on your white mantle?
There's lots of examples of that. And continuing that thought, a lot of games are not too long, are very long.
Yeah.
People don't have 60, 70, 80, 100 hours to put into a game to review it properly.
And we're going beyond the review. We're talking guides. I love when one person's like, yeah, to all those people that, yell at me for my review and how I play like shit in a video game, but you're using my guide to, go through and beat your game. Okay. Like that there's like that. It is the level of entitlement that makes you roll your eyes of how people think they could just say shit and just get away with it because they know they can. It's just it's sad because like you can say that the review system of how we do things, if we've gone on for almost an hour, is broken. It doesn't work. The scores don't work. You could talk about how the process in which reviews are handed out is broken and it's done purposely so that those reviews are possibly more lenient or their impressions of, right? At the same exact time, you don't have to attack the reviewer that reviewed your game poorly or the PR person that handed you the code for the game 2 days early. It's really the systems that be, whether it is archaic numbered systems that we just know and work in this industry that we use, or it's the manipulative publishers or distributors that hand these games out that know exactly what they're doing. And
look at Activision for Call of Duty Vanguard. Perfect example there.
Yeah. Those things went out like a day before.
Yeah. To still today, it's been out for 4 days. A Call of Duty game, the biggest game of the year. It only has 17 reviews published.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get codes out and they blocked other outlets from getting codes.
That to me is wild. That to me is very wild. Call of Duty this year is its own conundrum because you've got Warzone that's still available.
Yeah.
The Vanguard campaign is apparently very good, but $40-$50. I'm sorry, 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
For $70.
Zombies
experience.
is apparently broken. I've seen all kinds of stuff about that.
Oh, is it? I heard in the beginning that was the best part of Vanguard.
Yeah. And then I saw videos of their campaign co-op, like split screen.
Yeah.
Was like a disaster. And I was like, oh, it's almost like they should have delayed campaign co-op.
You know what has campaign co-op is the game of the year, Forza Horizon 5.
That's right. It does. It does. Hey, question. Do you guys think I'm sorry, is there anything else you guys want to say about reviews? Because I got something that is just I need to get off my chest.
I don't think so. I think we're good.
I think we're generally good. Be discerning with who you read reviews from or watch reviews from.
And be fair. It's okay to be critical of those reviews if you can structurally explain it, but don't attack. different.
And also read reviews or listen to reviews or just any medium or ideas that you may not necessarily agree with, because you may come at, that topic with a different point of view or a more educated view, because you now know all the sides or angles of that topic. So, be more open-minded, I guess. But that's just me. I want to know, is Halo actually coming out in 5 days? I saw the Google thing. They say, when does Halo launch? You type it in a little Google, it'll tell you 5 days, right? As of recording this video.
I will comment on this.
Why isn't Ains commenting? Ains?
I'm sorry, what?
Ains is not commenting on this. I will comment on this because I have nothing to worry about on any front.
I have an inside source.
Google says that Halo Infinite is coming out. Ty Guy Travis and several other creators, and I called this out on the latest XEP, so I'll do it again, have gone on to say that Halo fans are going to be very happy in the month of November. And then Ryan McCaffrey in the latest Unlocked said, this is where we're getting some dartboard mess here. Ryan McCaffrey said, we're doing this Unlocked. We're doing an extra Unlocked with somebody from the very beginning of Xbox, not Phil Spencer, but someone back to the beginning. So I would infer Seamus Blackley. And then we're doing another episode on the 16th to cover whatever happens. And I was like, oh, all right. This could be one of those things. Remember those fools were like, the Grinch is in Smash Brothers, way back when?
Yes.
This really could be one of those moments where like everything's just kind of neatly there, and it happens to look like Halo's launching next week. Halo multi, but yes, that was exactly what I was thinking. The dartboard, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
This is Luke right now. Luke in my DMs like this.
I'm checking sources, bro. I had sources, because I'm not an insider. But the more you do this, the more you talk to people, and the more people you interview, the more you talk to. But no, it was just interesting. And so there is the prevailing rumor at the time of this recording that Halo Infinite multiplayer will launch on November 15th or 16th. I can't remember which the day was for the celebration.
15th. It's Monday. This celebration is. Which
would make sense, given the timing and given the fact that multiplayer was in such a good state. And sure, like I could see a world where that totally does happen. I also think it would be absolutely ludicrous for us to expect it and then be disappointed.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like, those thumbnails are already made, though.
Yeah, true. That's true. With improper grammar, I might add.
I can tell you.
Chief Collect. Okay, go
I
ahead.
can tell you definitively. Campaign is not launching on the 15th.
How could you tell us that,
In terms of multiplayer, I have no idea.
Honestly,
I'm looking forward to the show.
Can I give a level-headed expectation?
Sure.
I think because things are lining up.
Okay.
I think it is that Luke's mom and I are having sex. No. I got it really intently. No, I think
put the picture back up
beta.
There.
Yeah. I think it's an open beta. I think it's an open beta.
Which effectively means it's out. Like to call a spade, a free-to-play multiplayer.
Yeah, so I want to understand what you mean by open beta, because I saw Bomber said something in our chat about that as well. Like, so they've had 2 flights, right? Not open, but close. Kind of half open on the second one.
Yeah.
You just mean as many people can log in and play. Now, are you saying that you think they're going to do that for like a few days and then shut it down for 2 weeks again before launch?
Yeah.
To like server crash. Now that makes some sense.
Yep.
There is some logic in that, Ains, I would say.
Yeah, there is.
Like crash the servers.
Stress test. Literally, you could just call it a server stress test. Hey, it's up right now. Play it, stress the shirt, like you make it so like this is the last hurrah as a celebration right now, whether it's a day or 2. We're just doing something crazy. We want to make sure the launch is perfect. So here, crashy servers, we goddamn dare you.
Google said the game.
If that happens, do you think that it'll be more fully featured than the prior flight, and do you think that progress will carry?
Yes, I think progress will carry. I think this is like the pregame more than a test,
Okay.
right? Just
Cool.
a test server load. That being said, though, it would be fucking cool.
It would be cool.
It was multiplayer. I would lose it. Also
What
going to
is-
church. Hey,
already
remember
got
what you
Zack
said
Snyder's
before the
Justice
show?
League.
Remember
Yeah.
what you said before the show? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'd be lining them up. Let's go.
So all jokes aside, if something like that were to happen, I actually have to fly to California next
Oh,
Wednesday on the
boo-hoo. My
17th.
intern's going to fly for me.
I will be gone for 4 days, and that would be disastrous.
God,
That's
I can rub that in your face.
that's
Can I just tell you, for all the other DMs I've had to read the past 2 days, Ains, I would rub that in your face so bad. Ains, guess what I'm doing? Oh,
Yeah,
I
can
can't
I-
complain. I can't complain.
Can I now also segue into one more little mini topic?
Yeah, well, hold on real quick before you segue.
Okay.
Did you all see the stuff that unlocks for Master Chief Collection in their last season?
Yes.
Like that stuff's cool.
That's awesome.
That better
I
be
love
in Halo Infinite.
I
Like
love
that
it.
stuff's dope. I think that's cool.
I love the OG Xbox on the back and everything.
Yeah.
So with that though, I don't think, at least not for the foreseeable future, I don't think they get as goofy with customization in Infinite as they have in MCC. I think with MCC, it's classic games. They've been around for many years.
Right.
Everyone's just having fun with it at this point. I think Infinite, they stay a little more streamlined. Even though it's extensive, I think it'll be streamlined.
I agree, but there's something about a little grunt on your arm or on
Oh,
the
I
back
yeah, I
that-
know. It's
like,
hilarious.
oh, yeah. Give me that.
Yeah.
Give me
But
that.
the Heroes of Reach Season 1 for Infinite that Ryan and Miranda showed at IGN this week looks amazing. And you can actually make your Spartan look like any of the Reach characters, which is
Noble One, Carter.
Yeah, fantastic.
My boy. I used to have a life-size poster of Carter in my apartment. That's why I didn't get married that time.
On the above your bed.
It was in the kitchen. You're in college. I was just out of college.
Oh
I
man.
remember my girlfriend, fiance at the time was like, "What is this?" And we didn't get married. Just for the record.
She did the breaking.
Actually, it was mutual. No, I just think that's funny. Carter is my man. Noble One. I want a game based on that Noble team. They were so cool, so cool. And imagine that game ends with the Noble Six dying, like in the trailers before Halo Reach. Remember that?
Yeah.
When those incredible Halo Reach trailers where he like threw the bomb.
Amazing. Yeah,
That's how
amazing.
Noble Six died, and then you took his place when you started it.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That's one of my
Interesting.
favorite game trailers of all
Interesting.
time. Because they did an extended version of it that's like 3 minutes long, where
Yeah.
you see Cat running, and oh my god, it's so awesome.
Yep. What did you say about if you could get Norfang, Linda's sniper rifle, if you could get it by killing her, you'd cap her every time?
I
in the
said that?
game? You said something like
Oh,
that. If you
probably.
could somehow unlock her sniper rifle, you'd have to dome her in order to get it. And you're like, well, she's
I
dead.
think like if she died, you got her sniper rifle. I was like, I'm gonna kill her myself because that thing's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope they play into that in Infinite again, because they did in Halo 5. You could get all those legendary kind of weapons that we've heard about in the books and stuff, which was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, dorks.
So-
Let's talk about.
And by the
Elden
way,
Ring.
I just learned, because I've called it Normfang for years, when I was listening to Shadows of Reach, the audiobook, they called it Normfang.
Oh.
I've said Norfang. No N. Norn.
No, it's
Norfang.
definitely Norn, but
Norn.
I've always said Fang, but they said Normfang.
That's okay. When Halo first came out, all of us were saying Mjolnir or something, and we're all
That's
like,
true.
"Oh yeah, we totally said it right." It's cool.
Yeah, Marvel didn't teach me different.
Nothing.
Guys, I want to talk about Elden Ring. God damn
Let's
it.
go.
I would like to take this segment over and make it about me to say that as a guy who doesn't care about Souls anything, the trailer was real good.
I got us. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
right,
God,
so-
thank you.
Yeah, I got it.
Dude, it looks so good.
It looks ridiculous.
It
that
looks-
game.
So what was the thing that caught your eye?
Disrespectful.
I think the craziest thing to me, outside of traversal, because traversal is obviously way advanced, right? It's more like Sekiro in a Souls world. But the fact that the world is so big, but they've somehow, from the look of it, maintained the Souls-ish feel where you can have kind of mini boss or boss events in the open world, but also find places in the world that are like the catacombs or those like really memorable areas that we've fought through and died a lot in the Souls games that are just everywhere. Like you're just going to find it on your own and determine, very old school, which I love, whether or not you're getting your ass kicked too much and you need to come back to it. Whereas in the other Souls games, like 3 opened up a little bit, Bloodborne opened up a little bit, right? But there was kind of a progression path you needed to take to advance. Whereas in this, it looks like you can just openly explore, and that is wild to me.
Yeah. What about you, my girlfriend's son? What
So this is what I would put in the beginning of my review.
He's like, yeah, okay.
Here it's where we're at now. I was already kicked out of the room. This is what I would put at the beginning of a review is I'm not one for Soulsborne games, Bloodborne games. I'm not one for that. I enjoyed Lords of the Fallen because it was so easy by comparison. And that's what I could do, right? And then it took Jedi Fallen Order and Darksiders 3 to learn me the gameplay. In seeing this trailer, it was so cool. It had enough Breath of the Wild open world-esque style like movement around the world.
Don't you insult Elden Ring. Don't you do
You
that.
never played it. You don't know.
They won't let me play it. That's the problem. Honestly, during this whole podcast, I'm refreshing 3 possible emails that I could have used.
Man, I was doing that about Halo for like a week, and now I'm just like, yeah, I got Forza. This is my win.
It's like, at least tell me I'm worthless, Daddy, from software.
Oh, I got the email saying you're worthless from Bandai. But Dan actually, Dan, to bless his heart, he saved his code to see if I got in, and when I said I didn't, he gave me his code.
Oh my god,
that's not fair. They're non-transferable. I'm gonna report you.
You can, because it says right in the fact you can give your code to a friend. So boo.
I don't like that you do that, you freaking nerd.
Yeah, like what are you, some type of lawyer or something?
Like you a sheep or something?
So they said you can't stream it because it's a network test, but they didn't say anything about like impressions or written stuff. So I've got to find out about that.
So I'm writing my review up of the
game. My review will publish in December, before 3 months before release. Don't worry about it.
Whatever happened to Tunic? That didn't come out yet. So Elden Ring looks cool. Elden Ring looks really cool, and I, as a non-person, I want to experience that game. Even if I don't beat it, don't finish it, I want to experience that game. That's probably not one I would review, but I would offer impressions for. I'm really not being silly. I know that sounds funny, but I'm not being silly.
I've reached out to so many people.
I was laughing because my wife was crouch walking behind the monitor.
I tried to get my wife to bring me more tea, and she would not. Look at us.
Good. I've reached out to so many people, like, Elden Ring, ? Please. I need this. It looks so great. The traversal is one thing. It really does seem like they're taking... Well, let me first address the controversy, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's Dark Souls, but with a better jump, and it's open world. And I'm like,
good,
okay.
It needed a better jump.
It did. But I'm like, all right, if you want to be very reductive, you can say that.
No, you know who's saying that are the people who don't know Souls games.
Yes. Yeah. Those people that reviewed Forza with that were level 20. There are a few things that I really like from it. First, I really dug the mounted combat that they showed when you were fighting that dragon. I really dug that. The weapons, it seems like they've taken a little bit of everything. Like, like you can see it has the heart of the Dark Souls franchise in there. But you could also see that it takes, traversal and movement from something like a Sekiro. And then when it comes to the way, at least the vibe I got from the classes that you get to use, what's Luke doing? You know what? No, let's not make this about him. He wants it to be about him.
Keep going, because you're touching on a point I didn't go for.
When you get to like the weapons in the game as well, it gives you that bit of like Bloodborne-esque, where it's like, oh, here's a weapon, but here's a special ability that you unlock with said weapon that I really liked. And then there were like some quality of life stuff that, yes, for a modern game, this should have been here a while ago, which is like the UI looks incredibly neat.
Yeah.
Crafting
Map
is a
looks
thing
awesome,
that
doesn't
exists. The map looks so cool because it looks just like a paper map.
Yeah.
Like out of the Lord of the Rings or something. And then to see those markers on the world where you place them, and God, the bastion, the vastness of it all.
I know.
It looks so good. And
Can you imagine, like, that's what I mean? Like, I've told people, like, because there's co-op now, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, this game I will experience by myself before I do anything else, right? Like, I'm
Sure.
going to experience this game. But, like, I was already picturing, like, okay, you go to this part of the world and a boss comes out and just whips your ass, right?
Mhm.
And you're like, okay, I'm going to put a little boss marker there. I'm coming back for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then just go off and explore. Okay, there's a locked door over here. I need something I don't have, right? Locked door here. And I just like exploring and unlocking the world is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
But I agree with
And-
you too. What? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, back to the weapon thing and the combat style, you can definitely see it's an evolution of Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro almost. And Vadi Vidya, who's like the most famous guy who does these videos, right, on the Souls games, he did a little review of it too, and he calls out some of the moves and stuff, and it's just, there looks to be a vast variety of not only weaponry but combat styles, spells. They showed a lot of different spells, which look amazing, and all that went to my mind is, think of all the different ways you're going to be able to play this game, because New Game Plus and playthroughs are huge in these games, and it already looks like this is going to be the best one yet by a long shot. And Joe left as I was making my point.
No, here's the thing about having a Puerto Rican mother who's going deaf but refuses to wear a hearing aid. That TV is at 100. That volume's at 100. That's ridiculous.
I can't hear it, so.
Oh, but I could, and that just aggravated me. No, I agree with all the things you say. It really does. It feels like it just has a little bit of everything in it. And the one thing that I struggle with, as giddy as I get,
it looks.
Yeah, as giddy as I get when watching that trailer. God, I got to play this a week after Horizon. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, that's gonna be.
So
gonna be tough.
I think Horizon is going to fall far flatter than it should because of Elden Ring and because of just the way things are lining up for that month, and I think that sucks.
It's kind of weird because Horizon launches, right? To your point, Luke, 4 days later, you have Destiny 2's Witch Queen, which, whether you like Destiny 2 or not, that game is massive.
It's a force.
And then 3 days after that, you have Elden Ring. So in the week that Horizon releases, you have 2 bombshells coming right after it, which is kind of a shame. But I will tell you guys, I reviewed the first Horizon because I love that game. And I was planning on doing the second one. Then Elden Ring got moved the week behind it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So luckily, Steve said, can I review Horizon? He talked to me last week. I was like, absolutely, you can. I'm reviewing Elden Ring. So,
yeah. It's I don't know. I feel so bad for Horizon because it seems like every time for them, there's then this monumentous huge event that follows afterwards and overshadows what is a great game. That being said, that didn't hurt that game's sales.
It'll have that long tail. Even if it gets hit at launch, that game's going to be amazing, and it'll just continue to sell and continue to sell. Plus, PlayStation exclusives, the big ones like that, they get tons of press and media and everything else, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely will be. And honestly, I feel bad for the rest of the games that aren't Elden Ring, Horizon, and Destiny.
If I'm anything else, I'm like, okay, this 6 week period is out.
Yeah.
I don't care if the game's done. It's not releasing until April.
Yeah.
How many interns are you signing up to do your work for you that month?
I don't know what I'm going to do that month, honestly. It's like, do I really need to take 3 weeks vacation at the beginning of the year? That's what it's looking like.
Play them over time.
Yeah.
That's your best bet.
Elden Ring I'm reviewing, so you know how that goes. But
Yeah.
Horizon, I'm very excited, like we talked about earlier, to just enjoy that at my own pace. Yeah.
Can't wait. Both those games are gonna.
And I hope,
assumingly
and I'll just
gonna
say it out
suck.
to put it into the universe, Joe.
Yeah,
I hope that you guys get review codes for Horizon.
not gonna happen.
I know, but we'll get there eventually.
Yes, we will. One day, Daddy PlayStation will come down and grace us with something. You know. Oh, Ains, your mic. Yeah, I know it happened again. Son of a bitch.
God, I
It's
hope they
fiddling with
gif out
things,
that
fiddling with
reaction he made.
Yeah. It was a good one.
Yeah, that's
He's looking out for the
that's
other
good.
one.
I like that.
He was all
That's a good
teeth there.
face.
Yeah. I think he's fixing.
It's the face you make when somebody gets Biomutant less than a 9.
Yeah.
I told Dan I'm done with this effing thing. I'm done with
Yeah.
it. It's great mic, but the plug sucks. And so I started researching different mics, and I was like, okay, they all use plugs like this. So what the hell?
Oh, dude, get the what's the one that Mike Kyle uses? The Elgato Wave. That's very good.
Got a wave mic. Do you know what connection it uses? I mean, I know like it's USB,
I actually
right?
think it's USB-C to USB 3.
So that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a USB-C into the actual mic, which is actually harder to find than you may think. I'll look it up. What's it called?
Yeah.
Elgato what?
Elgato Wave 3.
Okay.
Sponsored.
I got
Use
a
code
Secret
Trophy
Labs
Room
chair.
at checkout.
Yeah.
I got a Secret Labs chair that I want the listeners to know I got. I bought it. It was no one gave it to me, but I bought it.
Well, that's good. Hey, do you want to
You
outro
gonna wear a
us?
cape?
We didn't read any comments last
Oh,
week.
I'm so sorry.
I
Please.
don't want to forget.
Yeah,
I
how
want to shout
dare
out
you
Big
almost
Mad
forget.
Mo on YouTube, who has
I love
been
him.
commenting. He is awesome.
Big Man Mode, big shout out. Yeah, he's been a huge supporter of everything SG and my streams and everything too. He added me on live. I told him, I said, dude, add us on live. We're always down to play with, we always have a big group going. So yeah, it's awesome.
They really do.
Yeah.
Always. It's intimidating and definitely not hard for an
stop it.
introvert to deal with. So many voices. They're all really cool people, and I'm scared. I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions that anyone sent in. Famous Seamus asked us what our favorite like comfort food type games are, like what you go back to relax. I embarrassingly pointed out to him that I play Avengers. So that solved that problem. What about you guys?
Yikes. I go back to Bloodborne, man. Go back to where it all started.
I don't have a game that I generally kind of keep on my hard drive and just go play to relax. I'm usually playing something like new.
What about Halo?
Believe it or not, I really don't. Going back to play these campaigns for the stream prior to Infinite is the first time I've done so in a few years. It's weird. I don't have that game. It used to be Witcher 3, Red Dead, those kind of big open world games, but nothing recently. Forza Horizon's it right now.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer just tweeted that 4.5 million players and counting for across PC, cloud, and console for Forza, and it shows
That's
promise
really
coming to life. Largest launch day in Xbox Game Studio game. Peak concurrent is 3 times higher than Forza Horizon 4's highest. Thank you, players, and we are Playground.
That means probably by tomorrow morning, right? One day they'll hit over 5 million, which is freaking nuts.
Well, rest in peace, PlayStation. It's all over. It's all downhill from here, man.
Game Pass, boys.
Who knows how this bumps Game Pass subscriptions along with Halo, and then by the time this episode goes live on Friday, where we're at, and who knows if we know the answers to all the things we speculated about an hour ago.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Well, I mean, we've been
Show
saying
up
all year
tomorrow.
that Game Pass was already kind of killing it, but when Forza dropped and then Halo drops, it's going to be a massive boost to that service, and it looks like Forza hit even better than people expected. So imagine what Halo's going to do.
Honestly, I already have the shovels prepared for PlayStation and the PlayStation 6. I'm just getting prepared for that one too.
PlayStation 5.5, they're going to call it. I heard.
Oh, really? Yeah. I heard they're going to call it PlayStation 5 and 3/4.
5.7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the money to do a 6.
I'm already rating it a 9.7, by the
way. Ascent is game of the year, boys. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man. Game of the year contender. Game of the year contender right there. Until it's not.
You're right. It is a USB-C connection straight into the
Yeah,
mic.
see, I'm telling you.
I'm done. I'm ordering it right now. I'm not even joking. It's
Yeah,
getting ordered.
Kyle really likes it. Luke, what's the next comment or question?
I closed the window by accident. I don't know.
This guy's supposed to be the guy that hosts it.
I said to you guys, I'm coming in hot today.
You said that like the past 4 shows.
Yeah.
Also,
the
this is
season
kind of
ended
breaking
today.
news.
It was very emotional.
Aww.
It was cool. It was
Luke's
cool.
a little baby.
That was great, man. Those boys are amazing. I love them.
I feel
I feel like he took that out of context.
Yeah, you need to provide some context there.
The soccer team that I coach.
Those little
They're
boys
great
are amazing.
They're great kids. They're great kids.
Thank you.
I love them.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hashtag context matters.
they won their last game. They worked hard. Also, they're just great kids. They are.
We got it.
Can I ask what
FBI
your
ended the
record
call.
was?
What's
Like,
that?
are you guys competitive, or was it more for fun, or?
Little column A, column B. They were competitive for sure, but they're not like a travel team because it's like a middle school team. But
Okay.
they never got wiped, and they have a winning record. They did very, very well. Very proud of them. I don't want to call too many explicit things to them, but yeah, it was really cool.
Awesome.
They're great kids. Yeah, it was definitely a highlight. But I'm ready for the 12-hour days to be done. But they were
Sure.
best.
Sure. Did they win a championship?
No, they did not. They didn't get one. There wasn't the opportunity for one because of COVID. Teams had to drop in and out of our league regularly because of COVID.
Then what's the
protocol.
point of playing it if you can't win or
watch
there's no
Ted Lasso?
stakes?
So there's no ties, no playoffs. Why even do this?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
My job just got a whole lot easier.
God, I love Ted Lasso so much.
I haven't
you
watched
guys-
it yet. I've heard it's amazing.
I've heard it's good
Dude,
too. I just like
it's-
I knew it before it was a thing. Like when it was just
Yeah.
the promos. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You can find the Xbox Expansion Pass on all your podcast services. You can find me on Twitter at Insipid Ghost, and Real Talk. It'd be amazing if you would check out the show. Thank you.
Joe,
Ainsley?
go.
No,
Hi, you can-
Joe's last. Joe's last.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Joe goes last. Oh, that's right. He does. I forgot. I forgot about the thing, guys.
All right. Yeah.
I'll say what Luke hates is that you're already here at the Season Gaming channel. So thank you. Thank you for watching. You can check out Big Cast every Sunday morning at 10. This week, we have a very special episode celebrating the 20 years of Xbox. This guy named Luke Lore, you probably haven't heard of him. He's probably the
real cool.
least excited guest I have in a while.
Yeah.
But Luke Lore is going to be on. We also have Mr. Randall Thor, who we just talked about earlier and praised.
Nice.
And Miles from Windows Central is going to join us as well, along with potentially another guest or two. And, of course, Dan and Travis. So it should be a big show. It's going to be No. By the way, it goes by Philly Spence.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a good show. We're gonna talk about all kinds of memories and history and stuff, just purely kind of an Xbox dedicated special. So that'll be fun. Tune in Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Central, or whatever other time zone you live in that these guys always give me crap for. Other than that, thank you very much. See you soon.
And you can find me burying PlayStation because it's dead now. Nobody's playing it. Nobody even wants to talk about it anymore. They're all scared of it.
Science.
That's right. Over at the Trophy Room PlayStation podcast, made by the players for the players, where each and every Thursday, me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest of all things PlayStation. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you find your podcast service of choice, or the video version on YouTube. That's all I got there. Very close to 2,000 on Twitter, on both PS Trophy Room and Mr. Badbit. It'd do a great service to my ego if you follow any one of those two. Honestly, it means like that's how I equate my me being a person.
Your worth, yeah.
My worth, yeah.
Were you stuttering on purpose there? Or was
Yes.
that part okay.
Was that good acting? Huh?
It was. I was
And
like,
the Oscar goes
I
to
couldn't tell.
yeah.
Oh, look at me. Keep
Elden Ring, right?
Oh, you remember the table joke from the beginning? I'm there right now.
It's kind of like at first it was slow, and then it was like
keep keep casting that co-op.
Luke, did you have a
The
question?
thud.
Did
The
Luke have a
thud.
question?
No, I'm just gonna hang
Luke,
it over here.
Okay, all right.
It
Just
goes
checking,
away.
making sure.